Hello, welcome to the program. I'm Gigi Kopelak, and my guest today, and I hope I say this correctly, test me, Miro Sinovcic.
Perfect.
Was that good? Thank
Excellent.
you. Okay.
You did your homework with my last name.
And I would like to show one of the pictures that is going to be in a show, an exhibition that you're going to be at the Rockefeller State Park Preserve, which opens on July 31st. And the reason I'd like to show it is because it comes from your country. You call it Memories, but it's from Croatia. Yeah, and
yeah, I came from a beautiful small country in South Europe, country of Croatia. And country has like 1,200 islands, needless to say, hugely popular tourist destination. There is one small island in front of the biggest harbor in Croatia with name Šolta. My father is from that island, and I don't have memories of my father because he died just after I was born. But that is the place where I always feel when I visit. I feel like I belong there, strangely. Could be also the reason when I visit the local grave site, half of the people are there buried with the last name Sinovcic, okay. My name. Okay. Half of the village is Sinovcic.
No, I think we have a memory. I do. I feel like when I go back to Italy that there's something about it. It's a memory.
Do you feel something
I
that
do
you
feel
kind
something.
of belong there?
Yeah,
that even that piece of rock or piece of land is telling you,
yeah.
Hello, you are back home, right?
Right. So this picture that you did is of that island. Is that what that is? With
yes, a small village. And now it's, of course, full of the tourists, and around every corner you can see somebody is hugging, kissing. Yeah. And that was one moment when I saw a young couple hugging at the corner in the heart of this old village. So I said this could be a beautiful painting. And, you know, the older you get, the more memories are coming back.
I know, it's true, it's true. But so you were in Croatia and you had a career and you were an illustrator, and then you decided to come to America. And
yeah, by education I'm an architect, so I didn't think at the beginning during the study of architecture that I'm going to end up being an illustrator or never mind a fine artist. But I started to make kind of a decent income even during my study of the architecture as an illustrator. Mm-hmm. And you know, that was kind of in late 60s, and I am personally calling the time, or that times in 50s, 60s and 70s, kind of a dark age for paintings. That was the time when paintings were not what used to be until then. Yeah. Only somewhere in the 80s, beautiful paintings of, during these 30 years, we kind of neglected the fine art of the fine art.
Well, abstract expressionism was
yes,
more.
So
right, yeah.
I found out that being an illustrator, I'm much closer to the classical art than being a fine artist. So then at age 40, you know, Europe is gorgeous, my country is beautiful, but it's a small country and it's a small market. And if you want to make the next step, if you're in your career, if you are interested to make next step, it should be wide world. So I decided to move to United States of America to try to be an illustrator for all these famous big publishing companies, which are most of them are in New York City.
Mm-hmm. And so you did, and you made a career, and then about 6 years ago you decided that was it and you're going to start painting.
Yeah, I decided that I did what I came for, and now what to do next. Okay. What should be my next move while I still have time to do the next move. I didn't go too far. From a commercial artist I became fine art artist. So
well, you're an artist.
I'm an artist,
right. Yeah.
Although what I found out, it was not the technological aspect that changed, that gave me the problem. Didn't have any problem. Most of my painting as a commercial artist, I painted with oil on canvas. Mm-hmm. So now, as a fine artist, I'm painting with oil on canvas.
Big difference.
I know, you would say at first look, there is no difference. What I found is difference in state of mind. You have to think differently.
Right.
You have to position yourself differently. The results should look differently. And now I'm not competing with the reality. I'm not competing to do something as close as possible to reality, to the photography.
But also, you're not doing an assignment that someone else has given you. You're doing something from your own heart.
Huge difference from the two aspects.
Right.
Second, first one is that suddenly I am not working, thinking, am I going to satisfy my agent? Am I going to satisfy art director? Am I going to satisfy the art director boss? Am I going to satisfy the director of the company whose wife likes blue dress on women and I painted red dress? So this kind of stories you are getting by doing commercial art. You are just one small wheel in this entire machine of publishing. Being a commercial artist, I am responsible only to myself and to the gallery, but ultimately just to myself.
Just you. You're the only one you have to please.
Yes.
Yeah. And so.
And boy, I am really pleasing myself.
You are. You're
Maybe
having a
for
good
the
time.
first time in my life.
Yeah. But so a lot of your work is about New York City. You are inspired by, you said it very well, and I want you to say it. What is the expression you use? It's the noise or the...
It's a beautiful noise and a wonderful mess. That's what my paintings are, and that's what New York City is.
That's New York City. But you make it beautiful. Let's look at some of the ones that you've done here. This spring in the city is incredible. Now how big is that?
It is 48 by 36 inches.
All right.
And if you are painting New York City, eventually you have to paint some panoramas of New York City, some look from the above. And this is the view from Rockefeller Center, which I found out that is positioned perfectly in almost geometrical center of Manhattan Island. So whenever you turn in every direction, you can find something interesting to use your camera and then to go home and to paint.
Right.
So that is a night view from Rockefeller Center. I'm guessing toward, looking towards the southwest.
But your colors are incredible. I mean, most of us look out and we don't see these colors.
Yeah, most don't see these colors because they do not exist. I'm making them up. I like something what one art critic said about my work, that is, in my work is not that important what I'm looking at. It's more important how I see is what I'm looking at. So,
was he talking about you or him?
About me.
About you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That I see that we all are looking at the same things, but I'm seeing them differently.
Okay.
And that's how I'm seeing them. That's how I'm painting.
You are seeing all those colors.
Some are seeing, some are I'm making up.
Okay. You're making it up. Yeah. Okay. And the next one is fabulous. The night on the square. Is this one that's in the rain? The night on the square?
This one is not in the rain.
Okay.
Although, mentioning the rain, there is no better subject to paint than Times Square in the rain.
Yeah.
Rain gives all these lights, all these neon lights, to be multiplied by several times. From the hundreds of sparklings you now in rain have thousands and thousands of sparklings. And also you have that rain, which is kind of moving object. It's not standing still. So that's also changed a little bit, entire ambience. So I found out that the best combination is the neon lights and the rain.
Which is the next painting.
Which is the next painting, right, with all these reflections. Suddenly you have twice the amount of the reflections because the pavement is wet and everything reflects multiple times, and just to paint all that is a heck of a job. But I do like to do that. I do like to exaggerate.
Well, does the rain diffuse the light, or does it make it more that you? Because your work has, I don't want to say dots. I don't want to use the word pointillism, but you do have several. First of all, it's thick. It's impasto.
Yes.
It has a thickness to it, and there are brush strokes that you see in it. And each brush stroke, am I right? And each brush, am I describing it correctly? I don't want to do you. Okay. And each brush stroke feels like it's a different color. So it has a feeling of a pointillism or impressionism where there's a lot of different colors. But in this, with the rain, you feel like it's diffused, or does it still have that?
It gets diffused by doing so many short brush strokes. So in a way, if I really want to discuss about my technique and to be picky. Pointillism is a perfect good word, good expression, but I would also say it's not actually point, it's a short brush stroke. But we are almost talking about same thing, it's just semantic. So by painting so many different brush strokes next to one another, with every brush stroke has almost like a different color, and only physically in our eyes this became a subject. So the more I am diffusing that, the more will be diffused. But it's also how much to diffuse. Not every scene, not every time of the day, not every light is a good to be diffused. Some light or some time of the day is almost like asking you to paint a little bit with harder edges, a little bit sharper. When it's beautiful sunny morning, it's a completely different light. Then autumn day, somewhere in October, late day or night with rain. You have to also adjust your brush strokes, your choice of colors, the length of the brush stroke for the different scenes. I am glad that you noticed the differences. Not everybody noticed that, and sometimes I'm kind of disappointed. I put so much work and the average spectator never even noticed these small subtle differences.
Well, I think people notice it, but it's always amazing to me what people do notice. I remember being in front of a Rubens painting, huge, 8 feet tall, and someone walked over and said, "Look at the tear in her eye."
These are beautiful moments when somebody comes, and you know who noticed that? Sometimes children standing in front of my painting, they call parents and they said, "Look, I see a man walking a dog." And they would call me and they would ask me about that. You know, children's eyes are beautiful. I'm trying to see the world with children's eyes. At my age, it's getting harder and harder.
Well, maybe it's getting easier as you get older. I don't know.
And when the parents asked me, "Did you paint the dog at man walking a dog?" Of course I didn't, but what should I say? Of course I did.
Oh, that's cute. Well, let's look at the next one, the nighttime, which is, again, is that Times Square still?
Yes, that is Times Square.
And that's not in the rain, so you can see the difference a little?
It is different. It's much kind of a bit heavier painting, and it's because not having rain, it doesn't have any reflected light, so it's a bit darker looking toward the down. Light is staying more up, and it's basically a bunch of taxis who are not now, when they are in the middle of winter, in the middle of night, are not yellow, are not bright yellow, which is so nice color to paint. Now are the more dark orange, reddish tonality. I just wanted to, with that painting, to project the very much used word hustle and bustle of the city. So that is it.
Right, and you do feel it. You do feel it. And I imagine when people go close to your work, it has a totally different feeling than when you step back because of these brush strokes that you put on it.
True. These people who are watching my paintings are doing same things what I am doing by painting it. At the end of the day of painting, it's not that my hand is hurting me. My legs are hurting me because I keep walking back and forth almost for sometimes when I like to play tennis, let's say. So when my wife is waiting for me to finish the painting, I would be spending some time mixing the color, and then we'll put the brush and look from the distance, come close, put one quick stroke, and that will be the day. I will call the day.
I call that putting the comma in the sentence. All right, let's look at 2 other New York scenes, the late night rain, and then let's go to Cold Night, because Cold Night has a totally different, that's a winter scene.
That's a winter scene, and hence the title, Cold Night.
Yeah.
Almost absence of color, which is for me hard to do. I needed to work to convince myself not to use too many colors. If you see the original is going to be on the show, by the way.
Good.
If you see the original, it has more colors than you can see from the print. But all the colors are very subtle. No any strong color. Nothing is screaming from that painting. Everything is on the coolish side. And if I call the painting Cold Day, it should be cold, and it should give you some hint of coldness.
Right. So when you're making a gray, you're mixing a pot of colors and putting, so it's not really gray, you're inclining it to the red or the yellow or the blue?
Yes.
You don't use black in your palette.
Definitely not. Black is prohibited by the law. From
by your Miro's law.
Yeah, yes. It doesn't survive in my studio. But I'm mixing black from 2-3 different paints, and what I didn't like with the real black, it's a dead color because it's a gray. Mm-hmm. Same like white is also gray, but completely different spectrum. Mm-hmm. Black, and even if you use black to mixing with other paints, which are otherwise quite sparkling, nice paints, will suddenly be killed down. Right. I don't want to kill my paint, so I am using dark color by mixing, like alizarin crimson and cobalt blue or cobalt green or some reddish tint. Depends. Of course, every black is not the same. Right. Black is for particular painting in connection with the general color variation of the painting.
I think the difference is there is no black in paint, really, because black is the absence of color, so they have to make it from something. Yeah. So they either burn ivory or they burn something and make it charcoal.
Almost same way you can say for white. It's also made for something.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah. All right, so let's skip now. We're leaving Times Square and we're going to Central Park.
Oh, I like that subject.
You like Central Park, I could tell. This conservative. I was at Central Park yesterday, and so I saw this. This is the boathouse.
Yes.
By the conservatory up at 110th Street.
Yes, 107th.
107th. Yeah.
Two of my favorite subjects: this conservative water and Gapstone Bridge, what we are going to talk later.
Okay. And so, so then you have a closer of that at the pond, which is the same one.
Same
one. And then Autumn Pond 1 and Autumn Pond 2. Now, Autumn Pond 2 is a triptych.
Autumn Pond, yes. Autumn Pond 1 is diptych, and Autumn Pond 2 is triptych. It's a quite big painting because it's there are 3 30 by 40 size paintings.
So 40 is the horizontal piece.
Yes,
so we're talking 120 inches. So we're talking
inches.
10 feet.
It's a nice size painting.
Yeah.
And
it's all. So the rest of it would be the pond. The rest of the paint.
Still the pond. Yeah, it's like panoramic image of a shore of the pond. Yeah. And that's the same pond with official name of that pond is Conservatory Water still. Right. But just for the heck of it, I changed the title. Why to paint like our friend Claude Monet, who painted like 300 paintings, all with the same name, water lilies. Right. Maybe one day I'm going to run out of the titles, then I will start to paint all
you can put
same
numbers,
titles.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But so do you usually work in diptychs and triptychs, or do you work most of the time? I mean, is it?
This is relatively new for me. I wanted to paint bigger painting.
Okay.
My studio, unfortunately, is not that big that I can paint one big painting in one piece. So I said, why not to paint diptych or triptych when you put them together? And they have some monumental look of them when you paint something bigger. And it's also, I find out it's fitting my way of painting. And basically, what I found out, some artists are having long discussion. Is there a big difference? Is it something really completely new or different to paint from medium-sized painting to paint something big? I found out if I substitute my brushes for 3 times bigger brush than I use for medium-sized painting, it's almost end up being the same kind of work.
That's interesting, because I just had this discussion before. I feel like it's a whole different feeling to work on a big canvas versus a little canvas. I know you can transfer. I know you can make a maquette and transfer, and I've done it, of course, but in the end, it never comes out the same. It doesn't. Maybe you have that background, and it's.
I thought about that a lot, and I had some doubts. Will I be able to pull that? Because I never painted something of this size. Never mind, I never painted diptych or triptych, and I had certain doubts about that. But the result surprised me, and I am thinking that I'm going to do that more and more, or I'm going to move to bigger studio and then paint one big painting.
Okay, so good luck.
Instead of the diptych or triptych.
Let's look at this favorite Capstow Bridge, is it called? And that's in Central Park?
Yes. And
where is it?
Gapsov Bridge is on the other end of Conservatory Water Pond, on where the Conservatory Water Pond became something like a small narrow river.
Okay.
It's also part of the pond. Then there is that light exactly on that mouth of the pond is that Gapsov Bridge.
Now, from this illustration or this little image here, this looks very loose. Look very a little. Am I right? Am I saying that right, or no? It's just the way it's printed here.
No, you are saying that perfectly.
Okay.
It is loose. I am permanently pushing myself to be more loose. You have to understand, I am still having my internal fight with myself. You know, like Miro, you can do it, or Miro, change this. I am coming from 30 years of being commercial artist, when to paint a commercial work is, the main principle is the more the merrier. The more detail you paint, eventually the more green box will come. You know, the longer time you spend on that to perfect few details, the closer this illustration will look like a photography, the better will be. Now I'm working under completely different rules, as I understand, is the less is more, suddenly is. So to achieve something to be still recognizable, so I have to show certain number of details in order to viewer to recognize the subject which I am painting, although I'm trying to paint as loose and as impressionistic as I can. I have to loosen up. I have to paint a bit different than I used to paint for all my life. And something what became almost like your second nature is not that easy to get rid of that.
I guess
so I'm working hard on myself, and you can see me talking during the day to myself, and I always don't like the answer of that other Miro.
So you said that you don't want to give up the subject, so that's important to you, that subject. You can't see yourself going totally abstract. And
no. That could be from coming also from my disappointment of 50s, 60s, and 70s, when entire fine art used to be that somebody would give to some young person with no talent, with no school education, with no art education, give them brush and will say, okay, express yourself. I wouldn't call that the result of that express yourself. I wouldn't call that art. So
no, I understand that, but now, you see, you would be coming from a different place. You would be coming from a long history of knowing about painting. I don't know, this is a good discussion we can have sometime, because the next one you have, Fallen Leaves, is very abstract. If you were to take away that one tree trunk, you have an abstract painting there.
On purpose. Not only that, it has a lot of abstract feeling and look. I also completely cut out anything what could be like a piece of shore on the piece of the land. This way, I really cut all the ways that you can cut out the help, what you can help you to realize, okay, this is a painting and this is actually the reflection. Many would think that they should turn the paper upside down, that I mess up something, but these are actually the reflection in the pond. And that only one tree, the trunk of the tree, is telling you that you can probably recognize what it is. But I like to play with our mind and with our eyes. I like when the painting at the first sight, it's very abstract, but then the longer you look, the more you see. And the further you move from my painting, the more you will see. So I am playing with that to give people some chance to find out the things which they don't see at the first sight. So let them be involved a little bit more in the painting. I wouldn't like to have painting when people will just glance at the painting and see everything what they want to see. I like when some of my buyers would call me 6 months later or a year later and would say, listen, I never noticed this part of the painting. I would say, yes, that's what I wanted to do.
I love that, the living with the painting.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I like too. Okay, and then let's look at Greenwich Red. Is that
yes, Greenwich Red. This Greenwich is known for these red buildings, pure red facades, right? So I said this could be nice, and the foreground is the shadow, which I exaggerated with the blue color to be like the opposite color of the red. complementary color, and see, that's why hence the title Greenwich Red.
Okay. And I want to skip now, and I want to go to your Venice paintings. So tell me about that.
Oh, we are
because
now
we're traveling. You're leaving New York and you're going back home again.
We are traveling not only geographically, we are traveling in time.
Okay.
Yeah, because I grew up in the city of Zagreb. This is capital city of Croatia, which is only a few hours drive by car from Venice. And needless to say, my affirmative age,
your years growing up.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I used to be, me and my friends, quite a lot in Venice, almost penniless, just having enough for the full tank of gas and to have few liras for a cappuccino. And all what would be doing will be sitting on, let's say, San Marco Plaza and look beautiful people, I mean women, but architecture too here and there. I never knew that at the end I'm going to paint that. So this is another short trip back to my youth.
Yeah.
And Venice is
and these are painted differently also.
It's a different subject.
Yeah. It has a softer feel.
Much softer. The memories are going back deeper, and the memories are getting faded away slowly, so I'm fading with my painting, so that I cannot be that powerful painting Venice as I'm powerful painting New York City. A completely different ambiance. Even something what I needed many years to understand. The light is different. The light of the Mediterranean, what Venice has and my country has, because we are part of the Mediterranean Sea, is completely different than the light in New York City, than the light of the East Coast. The light in California, that's why Californian Impressionists painted almost with completely different colors. The light is, I always remember what Edouard Manet said, the principal person in painting is light. Needless to say, I didn't understand that for many years. Well, now I'm kind of understanding and trying to catch that principal person. That's why Venice is painted a lot different, a lot softer, and something else. Venice is a very old city, and it's not hiding its age. Venice looks like old, ruined city. Gorgeous, beautiful city, unbelievable, attractive city, but it's old. And I have to paint it in an old way, not in a modern way.
Well, I think you're expressing what you feel in your work, which is wonderful. This winter in Venice is it's so warm. It doesn't feel like when you had the cold night in New York, you felt the cold, but you feel a warmth, which is your memory, I think, in Venice.
I have no problem to paint warm. I have to always talk to myself when I am trying to paint something cold.
Yeah.
So this painting of New York, what we spoke about, the cold one, is the one which could give me a problem, because I would probably go a little bit toward warmer. I would like to go. But then with the age comes the knowledge and comes the experience, so I would eventually straighten myself to go toward the cold colors, no matter how I would wish to do something different.
Well, this has been so enjoyable. I hope that everyone goes and sees the real pictures, because you have to see your work in person. I can't wait for the show. July 31st. The opening will be August 2nd, and the show will be there until September 27th, I believe, at the Rockefeller State Park Preserve in the gallery. I wish you lots of luck. Thank you so much for coming. It's been so enjoyable listening to your story.
Thank you, JJ, and thank you for inviting me.
And thank you for watching.